Welcome to another PL Together Lounge Talk. I'm Adam Geller, founder and CEO of Edthena, the video-powered professional learning company focused on helping teachers get better at teaching. Today, we're talking with Amy Tepper and Patrick Flynn, the co-authors and also members of the organization Tepper and Flynn. They're the co-authors of multiple books, including their recent book, Learner-Focused Feedback, 19 Strategies to Observe for Impact. Patrick and Amy, thanks so much for being part of PL Together.
Thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
So I want to talk about feedback, but I want to talk about it in kind of the right now way. I think if you open any newspaper, you see the kind of zeitgeist of schools, and I think we know what's actually happening in schools. It is a hectic, stressed feeling, challenging time, a lot of demands. Why is feedback still important enough that we're going to prioritize it when all these things are pulling us in all these other directions? Amy, maybe let's start with you.
You're right. There are a million things happening in our buildings right now. I think feedback can be a glue of sorts because through feedback, we can support well-being, we can support adult SEL, we can support teachers in taking risks, being a very valuable second set of eyes in very challenging situations that teachers are facing. We also, something we've really been driving in our work in schools this past year has been about driving an understanding of connections, how single actions can unite and have a lot of impacts on a lot of different outcomes that you're seeking, and then being able to connect priorities. So we have buildings right now who are focused on new math programs and science of reading. Oh, hey, what about the mental health crisis that we're dealing with? And still, dysregulation and disengaged students. So feedback is this glue that can allow teachers to pull actions together that can support multiple priorities that we're seeking, but also allow them to grow and feel like they're effective. That is a killer of efficacy and well-being.
I love this idea of glue, and in my mind, I'm trying to picture all the places where the glue might be, because it could be among the priorities for the teacher and their interactions with their students. It could be between that classroom and the school priorities. It could be between classroom to classroom. So, maybe Patrick, take us more down that path of kind of what does it mean for feedback to be the glue, and why, aside from glue bonding things together, again, like things are pulling apart right now or feel like they're pulling apart. How is feedback going to help us in a kind of system way?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things we talk about is a three-legged stool relative to feedback is that, if you really want to have an impact on students, ensuring that classroom observations are formative and informing both the professional learning structures as well as those inquiry team conversations, so that it does become very much an ongoing cycle of dialogue about instruction, because we still know that even amidst everything that is going on, it is that dialogue about instruction and getting people into those really powerful conversations about what impact they are having and how they are having it. It is that starts to build towards that collective efficacy that Amy's kind of, describing as the glue. It is us bringing feedback as that centerpiece. I think what's really important to also consider is that study after study continues to show that feedback is desired. It's one of those things, especially among Generation Y, Generation Z, which is the up and coming generations of our staffing inside our schools. They're looking for more frequent, very informative feedback that's going to drive what they're doing. And so I think we have to continuously consider the fact that if people are wanting that feedback and asking for that feedback, we've got to be able to support it, but make sure that once again, it's feeding cycles of dialogue, conversation, commitment, and really building towards a learning that's not only centered on one person giving feedback, but multiple people giving each other feedback, which I think is really a powerful component to that collective efficacy.
Can I draw one more connection too? I think that's so huge in terms of efficacy and what teachers are seeking. I think two things that feedback can provide is empowerment. And we are in the middle of years now of a complete lack of control and any predictability. And so anytime that someone can help a teacher understand and own some part of the outcome in a classroom, or own how to respond to what kids are bringing through that classroom door, that's empowering. And that is a trauma-informed priority. And I think that that is something that even a 10-minute conversation can ensure for a teacher when done well.
One thing that really stuck out to me here is, I think so often we talk about the value of feedback in the study, because you said the study, is then the next, set of words are about, what helps teachers make and sustain practice changes, what impacts student outcomes. And what stuck out to me there was this opportunity to lift up the teacher need and desire in this moment. Wow, what a good reason to be giving feedback. Yes, it can lead to positive outcomes for students, but also it's what the teachers are telling us that they want. So, let's talk about, and maybe not the why, but the how, in a context where we do feel like we have less time. What are some tools that leaders that are designing mechanisms for feedback can make it more efficient? I know I have a few, but I'll ask you guys, what are you seeing or recommending to kind of make it easy and time saving for the teacher as well as the educators that are supporting them?
I think one of the processes that we use with the principals, as well as the instructional leaders or teacher leaders that we work with, as well as instructional coaches, is the idea that there are multiple types of feedback. Feedback doesn't have to be some lengthy, treatise on what it is that's happening completely within your classroom or comprehensively in your classroom all the time. There should be moments where that occurs, but instead that those short opportunities to what we call affirm practice and affirm impact on students, to be able to identify and highlight strength-based, but also offer wonders about what it is that could be happening inside the classroom or what is happening inside the classroom. Those become very quick hits, and we have the opportunity to walk into a classroom in 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, see what's happening, and leave that sticky note behind that says, here's the impact I saw you having. And that affirmation is a very powerful tool in building, it's a quick hit, in building that teacher's efficacy towards the type of classrooms that they're trying to create.
And I think critical too is a couple of shifts that we've really encouraged is one is aligning to a teacher's goals. So it's very targeted. It's very meaningful to the teacher. And then aligning to really bite-sized, actionable next steps. We had a teacher just come up to us the other day and say, someone told me I needed equity sticks. What does that mean? I said, well, tell me the context. Well, how did they suggest it? It just said, I need equity sticks. That's not actionable. We're not building any understanding of impact to understand why they might have suggested equity sticks. So we talked it out. But I think the other third important piece that you can accomplish on a sticky in a 10-minute visit is that you can also help link. Teachers need so much help being able to integrate academic, social, emotional, and behavioral learning in a lesson versus these advisory standalones. So anytime you can create feedback that gives them, hey, it's not only going to affect instruction, it's affecting this competency, this social emotional need in your classroom. And lastly, I think your platform is such a rich addition to a school's tools and resources. We're always looking for effective and efficient methods. And so if you have someone coming in, giving a quick hit of feedback aligned to goals, we become the voice in the head for a reflective practitioner to then go and watch themselves. Start with watch yourself. That's where we always have to start before we're willing to share with someone else. But we start to build a common understanding of what we're looking for when we do this consistently in a building. So when they jump on a platform like yours, now you've got a whole team who is looking for the same things and willing to share ideas in bite-sized pieces.
Well, it's almost like you teed up the need for a break there, Amy, because what I had next for us to talk about in our next segment was being a reflective practitioner. So if that is intriguing for anyone watching this video, Head to pltogether.org for the rest of what we're going to talk about, as well as many more conversations. Amy and Patrick, thanks so much for being part of PL Together.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.